Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm going to talk about what it means to have your Pluto opposite to someone's ascendant in Synastry. I know there's a few other requests. I'm going to continue on this series too, because there's just not a lot of information on ascendant aspects in Synastry in general. And especially with Pluto, they can be very, very powerful. So in this video, I wanted to talk about the opposition because in my experience, this one, along with the conjunction, create the most powerful feeling of captivation and attraction and even repulsion. With Pluto, it can be a little bit of both. So yeah, let's talk about Pluto opposing someone's ascendant in Synastry, or so if your Pluto is opposite to their ascendant, or their Pluto is opposite to your ascendant. So the ascendant is our persona. It is how we express our personality into the world. It's what comes out naturally. It's kind of like our first impression that we give off, and it's how we act, and it's a big part too of our soul's energy for incarnating and what energy we're really meant to project out into the world in this lifetime to have, you know, more of our soul energy integrated in our life, along with the North Node as well. So when someone's Pluto, which is the planet of transformation, unconscious feelings and depth and intimacy and compulsions and secretiveness and darkness, being opposite to that more public, more outward point in the chart, or actually the most outward point in the chart, really. There's quite a strong attraction with this one. And the Pluto person definitely notices the ascendant person and feels powerful feelings towards them because they can see in them exactly what they lack, what they fear. Because Pluto can be a lot to do with our fears and like it's the energy that we're really we cling on to because we have deep fears, which when we can actually go into these fears, we can end up having rebirths and be, you know, even more powerful. So this one is definitely having that effect where the Pluto person gets the sense that the ascendant person, just in the way that they act, can be like a transformative agent in their life. And also the same thing is going vice versa here. So the ascendant person can feel like the Pluto person holds so much power over them. They can feel a bit nervous even, and so can the Pluto person, because they can really feel like, yeah, the Pluto person is an authority or someone that has like the keys to their expression, to their identity, to their sense of outward action in life. So with Pluto ascendant aspects, all Pluto ascendant aspects, the ascendant person can radically change their approach to life, their how they express themselves. So even through this relationship, the ascendant person can actually change so much about who they are. And this can be positive or negative. So, you know, depending on the nature of the relationship, what's going on, these transformations can be positive, or it can be just sort of unconscious where the ascendant person really feels almost like ravaged by the Pluto person, or like overtaken in such a way that like they're so powerfully attracted and feel this intensity of the Pluto person that they actually change the way that they act. And this could actually be beneficial because now we're talking the opposition. So with the ascendant, the first house is always opposite to the seventh house. So all Aries ascendants, let's say for example, need a little bit of Libra to be integrated, right? For balance. And that's why we see a lot of marriage charts or compatibility, like when people really get along well or not, we see a lot of seventh house overlays or oppositions to the ascendant. Now, when it's Pluto, though, this is an intense opposition. This is probably the most attractive opposition potentially because of the magnetism and the power that Pluto holds, but it's transformation nonetheless. So the ascendant person will not stay the same in their self-perception, in their way that they act and way that they express themselves in the world, and they can really become a better person and become more integrated, more whole in the world. And they can absolutely fall in love with the Pluto person and the power that they hold. Now, it can actually be so intense that the Pluto person could be directing the ascendant person. Okay, do this, do that, do this, do that. And the ascendant person, even if they're naturally an outward personality, they can find themselves doing all of these things because of the Pluto person's influence, or maybe they're direct telling them to do something. So this is one to look out for. This is one that should have like a handle with care. It's not quite as difficult as the sun opposite to Pluto that I just talked about. But well, it depends on the signs too. It depends on the personalities. But this one, the ascendant, because of the natural seventh house energy of the opposition to the ascendant, it's a little bit more welcomed to have Pluto opposite the ascendant than opposite to the sun or the moon or something. Because there is this sense that we, our self-perception, we grow through others, right? Seventh house, through relationships. So the transformation can be more welcomed, but it doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean this is a comfy, cozy, kind of aspect of comfort. You could have other things going on in the synastry that would show that this relationship could still have that. But this is penetrating. Like just Pluto totally changes so much about the ascendant person and can really help them transform in a beneficial way. And then the Pluto person can be so healed by the ascendant person, because the ascendant person is the expression of what they need for balance and healing. So something that Jeffrey Wolf Green talks about in one of his books about Pluto, which I think he has the best book on Pluto, by the way, but he talks about the polarity point of Pluto, where part of our Pluto lesson or our Pluto karma in this lifetime is to integrate the opposite sign and house placement of our Pluto. So like if our Pluto is in Scorpio in the 8th house, the polarity point is Taurus in the 2nd house that we are integrating. So with this particular configuration, we're having the Pluto person getting that opportunity, at least with the sign of Pluto, right? They're able to integrate that polarity point because of the ascendant person. And the ascendant, this is the big three. This is a huge part of their personality, potentially the most obvious part of their personality, right? That's why the attraction can be so strong, because the ascendant really is how we seem and how we are, how we express our energy in the most natural way. So the Pluto person is getting a good dose of what they need in order to heal that Pluto wound. which is very powerful, very attractive, very sexual. If there are sexual undertones in this relationship, this aspect can bring a depth and intensity and just like burning desire to get each other in the bedroom. If there's, other compatibilities going on, because while it can do that, it can also be definitely too intense for some people. And some people are just going to want to go the other way. Because, like I've said with other Pluto aspects, you cannot stay the same with Pluto. So if you have attracted this relationship, it is likely that you, maybe without knowing, were in need of a huge transformation. Now, for the Ascendant, it's different. It's their energy, how they project themselves into the world, how they act. The Ascendant person can really change how they act. But it can actually be beneficial, because the Ascendant being the strongest point of our energy, we can always use a little bit of our 7th house, right? Like, that is helpful for us. So that's the way that they transform. They end up being a more integrated whole, right? Rather than an overdosing on their Ascendant, they're more balanced in their expression and in their ability to get along with people as well. People with a strong 1st house can really benefit from this. People with Aries, people with a lot of planets in the 1st house, because when we have a strong dominance in the 1st but not the 7th, we can tend to be a little bit unaware of the other person, and it can sometimes show more narcissistic qualities. And so this can be really helpful for those type of people to really gain a sense of how their energy is impacting others, and then they may change some of their behaviors to be more pleasing, but maybe that's what is required. Now, if you're, someone like a Pisces Ascendant or a strong 7th house already, and then someone's Pluto's over there, okay, then that's where this could get a little bit damaging, to someone who is needing to just develop their Ascendant more. And then we've got someone's Pluto opposing it, or even making any aspect to it, really. That can be hard on the developing identity. So it kind of depends on the people and the signs that this is taking place in, whether this is useful or beneficial or degrading potentially to the Ascendant person. Whenever we're having Pluto aspects, there is this potential for the planet person, so not Pluto, but the other one, to feel degraded by Pluto. That's when the transformation is unwelcomed, or perhaps the Pluto person is a bit of a dominating Pluto. Like maybe they're a Moon Pluto or Mars Pluto in their natal. And the way that they express their Pluto is more on the offensive side. That's when this can be damaging and toxic and incredibly painful. And that might be the lesson in it. The lesson in it might be, no, Pluto, I'm not going to do what you say. I'm not going to lose myself in you. Right? So it can be good or bad. It's definitely powerful and sexual and intense, and both people, like, the hearts are beating when we see this person, when we interact with this person. It can feel significant, it can feel fated, and it can feel for both like they've met their other half. They've met their compatible counterpart, because they do both have what the other lacks in a major way. So it can be a soulmate aspect. It can definitely feel like we're soulmates and we have this integration, and it it can feel really good and addicting, because we do, truthfully, we do have what the other lacks, right? But it's just dependent on like how the Pluto person is expressing the Pluto, and you know, what the rest of the synastry is. What is the purpose of the relationship? You know, it's definitely some type of transformation meant to happen here. So yeah, I'd love to know your experience of this aspect. Was it like this? Was it different? And I am doing your requests. Let me know below any requests you might have, and I'll get to them slowly but surely. Like the Taurus sun I am, slow and steady wins the race. Okay, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.